नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु
गौरवाणी
नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्।
Next.
नास्तप्रायेष्व अभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्ण।
Krishna, thank you, Mataji. So we already shared these prayers, and also we have shared the recordings also. So please listen and then you get the right pronunciation. So last one is Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevya, not Bhagavat Sevya, Nityam Bhagavat Sevya. So by doing this Nityam Bhagavat Sevya, and what Seva it is, we are all Nityam daily reading, discussing. So this is Nityam Bhagavat Sevya. By doing this, what happens? Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu. Abhadra means all the inauspicious things in the heart, inauspicious desires, and all the vices in the heart. Just by doing this simple activity of coming together, reading together, listening together, discussing together, it's such a powerful process that all our abhadra, all our inauspicious things in the heart, they will be nasta praya. Almost they will be vanished. Almost. So that is what the Bhagavatam is offering. So such a powerful process it is. Okay, so we have been reading this introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam and reading the life sketch of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we are reading some wonderful pastimes, childhood pastimes. What is going on? Okay. So hope you all remember what and all pastimes we discussed yesterday. Some childhood pastime when Brahmana came and then he was trying to offer to the Lord, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a baby was coming, and every time he was eating his offering. One time some thief, they kidnapped him and then he tricked them, and then finally they end up coming in front of the house and they left the child and ran away. One time he was playing with a snake. The mother was fearful. Sometimes he'll chastise all these, young girls and like that. He'll ask that whatever you are cooking to worship Lord Shiva, this all the offering you should give it to me, otherwise you'll get some old, uh, you know, person as your husband, and like that he will tease them. All those pastimes. Okay, now we'll read another nice pastime. During this time, a great Kashmir scholar named Keshav Kashmiri came to Navdeep to hold discussion on the Shastras. The Kashmir Pandit was a champion scholar, and he had traveled to all places of learning in India. Finally, he came to Navdeep to contest the learned Panditas there. The Panditas of Navdeep decided to match Nimai Pandit, Lord Chaitanya, with the Kashmir Pandit, thinking that if Nimai Pandit were defeated, they would have another chance to debate with the scholar. For Nimai Pandit was only a boy, and if the Kashmir Pandit were defeated, then they would even be more glorified because people would proclaim that a mere boy of Navdeep had defeated a champion scholar who was famous throughout India. It so happened that Nimai Pandit met Keshav Kashmiri while strolling on the banks of the Ganges. The Lord requested him to compose a Sanskrit verse in praise of the Ganges, and the Pandit, within a short time, composed 100 shlokas reciting the verses like a storm. and showing the strength of his vast learning. Nimai Pandit at once memorized all the shlokas without an error. He quoted the 64th shloka and pointed out certain rhetorical and literary irregularities. He particularly questioned the Pandita's use of the word Bhavani Bharatu. He pointed out that the use of this word was redundant. Bhavani means the wife of Shiva, and who else can be her Bharta or husband? He also pointed out several other discrepancies, and the Kashmir Pandit was struck with wonder. He was astonished that a mere student of grammar could point out the literary mistakes of an erudite scholar. Although this matter was ended prior to any public meeting, the news spread like wildfire all over Navadip. But finally, Keshav Kashmir was ordered in a dream by Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to submit to the Lord, and thus the Kashmir Pandit became a follower of the Lord. So, this is a very elaborate pastime given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It has been just briefly explained here. Okay, now I'll just call out some names. Then different devotees can take the turn. Bala, you want to read? Bala Gangi Shetty.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Lord was then married with great pomp and gaiety, and at this time he began to preach the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord at Navadvipa. Some of the Brahmanas became envious of his popularity, and they put many hindrances on his path. They were so jealous that they finally took the matter before the Muslim magistrate at Navadvipa. Bengal was then governed by the Pathans, and the governor of the province was Nawab Hussain Shah. The Muslim magistrate of Navadvipa took up the complaints of the Brahmanas seriously, and at first he warned the followers of Nimai Pandita not to chant loudly the name of Hari. But Lord Chaitanya asked his followers disobey the orders of the Kaji, and they went on with their Sankirtana chanting potty as usual. The magistrate then sent constables who interrupted a Sankirtana and broke some of the Mrudanga's drums. When Nimai Pandita heard of this incident, he organized a party for civil disobedience. He is the pioneer of the civil disobedience movement in India for the right cause. He organized a procession of 100,000 men with thousands of mridangas and kartalas, handy cymbals, and this procession passed over the roads of Navadvipa in defiance of the Kaji who had issued the order. Finally, the procession reached the house of the Kaji, who went upstairs out of fear of the masses. The great crowds assembled at the Kazi's house displayed a violent temper, but the Lord asked them to be peaceful. At this time, the Kaji came down and tried to pacify the Lord by addressing him as his nephew. He pointed out that he pointed out that Nilambara Chakravarti referred to him as an uncle, and consequently, Srimati Sachi Devi, the mother of Nimai Pandita, was his sister. He asked the Lord whether his sister's son could be angry at his maternal uncle, and the Lord replied that since the Kaji was his maternal uncle, he should receive his nephew well at his home. In this way, the issue was mitigated, and the two learned scholars began a long discussion on the Quran and Hindu Sastras. The Lord raised the question of cow killing, and the Kaji properly answered him by referring to the Quran. In turn, the Kaji also questioned the Lord about cow sacrifice in the Vedas. And the Lord replied that such sacrifice, as mentioned in the Vedas, is not actually cow killing. In that sacrifice, an old bull or cow was sacrificed for the sake of receiving a fresh younger life by the power of Vedic mantras. But in the Kali Yuga, such cow sacrifices are forbidden because there are no qualified Brahmanas capable of conducting such a sacrifice. In fact, in Kali Yuga, all yagnas, sacrifices, are forbidden because they are useless attempts by foolish men. In Kali Yuga, only Sankirtana Yagna is recommended for all practical purposes. Speaking in this way, the Lord finally convinced the Kaji, who became the Lord's follower. The Kaji henceforth declared that no one should hinder the Sankirtana movement which was started by the Lord. And the Kaji left this order in his will for the sake of progeny. For the sake of progeny. The Kaji's tomb still exists in the area of Navadvipa, and Hindu pilgrims go there to show their respects. The Kaji's descendants are residents, and they never objected to Sankirtana even during the Hindu Muslim riot days.
Okay, so this is another wonderful pastimes. Again, much more details. So this is all coming from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada is giving very brief summary of all this pastimes here. Okay, next. Ramita Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The incident shows clearly that the Lord was not a so-called timid Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is a fearless devotee of the Lord, and for the right cause, he can take any step suitable for the purpose. Arjuna was also a Vaishnava devotee of the Lord Krishna, and he fought valiantly for the satisfaction of the Lord. Similarly, Bajrangji or Hanuman was also a devotee of Lord Ram, and he gave lessons to non-devotee party of Ravana. The principles of Vaishnavism are to satisfy by the Lord by all means. A Vaishnava is by nature a non-violent, peaceful living being, and he has all the qualities of God. But when the non-devotee blasphemes the Lord or his devotee, the Vaishnava never tolerates such impudency.
Well, now that is a very important lesson that Lord is teaching. This devotees, he is not like something weak people or someone. They're all powerful, but whenever it is required, they use that power to uh, to defeat all these kind of non-devotees, people like that. So devotee doesn't mean that he should be always peaceful, should not raise his voice, he should not get angry and nothing like generally, people have the idea, oh, you're a devotee, you're chanting Hare Krishna, why you are getting angry, why you are like shouting or why you are like raising your voice and all that. So these are kind of little very superficial understanding. Yes, in general, we should not do, and especially for our personal interest is hampered, that is when we should not get angry and upset and all that. But then those things also has its own place in the service of the Lord, like Hanumanji. Hanumanji was insulted by Ravana, like everybody in the Lanka when he went. They're just making fun of him, they're laughing at him. Hey, look at this monkey and all that. Hanumanji was cool that time, right? He did not get upset or angry or something. But as soon as this Ravana started speaking about, Lord Ramchandra, he did not tolerate that. He put the entire Lanka on fire, right? So this is the use of the anger in the service of the Lord. So when we say that our devotee should not be angry, we should not be angry for our personal interest, for our personal hindrances and all that. We should learn to tolerate, but not like everything we tolerate. We don't tolerate the blasphemy to the Lord. We don't tolerate the blasphemy to the Vaishnavas, to the devotees. If somebody try to talk something wrong about the devotees and the Lord and like that, then we should be like fire. So everything has its own place in the service of the Lord. So we should become mature. We should not be like superficially, oh no, 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 we should be all nice, we should be all goody goody, all those things. That is not the right understanding. If that was the understanding, then Krishna would have not asked Arjuna to shoot the arrows, to kill these people. Should have, oh, you are a devotee, you should be nice, you should be kind and compassionate, you should not kill. Rather that was the argument of Arjuna. Krishna chastised him that, why you are becoming so weak. So like that. So this is how we understand all this. Okay, we'll read one more paragraph. Let me see who can read. Pranali. You want to read? Is she there? I see Pranali's iPhone. Okay. Vineet Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. After this incident, the Lord began to preach and propagate his Bhagavad Dharma or Sankirtan movement more vigorously, and whoever stood against this propagation of the Yuga Dharma or duty of the age was properly punished by various types of chastisement. Two Brahmana gentlemen named Chapala and Gopala, who also happened to be maternal uncles of the Lord, were inflicted with leprosy by way of chastisement, and later, when they were repentant, they were accepted by the Lord. In the course of his preaching work, he used to send daily all his followers, including Srila Nityananda Prabhu and Thakur Haridas, two chief whips of his party, from door to preach the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Continue.
Yeah, read. I think this is the continuation of.
All of Navadip was surcharged with the Sankirtan movement, and his headquarters were situated at the house of Srivas Thakur and Sri Advait Prabhu, two of his chief householder disciples. These two learned heads of the Brahmana community were the most ardent supporters of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Sri Advaita Prabhu was the chief cause for the advent of the Lord. When Advaita Prabhu saw that the total human society was full of materialistic activities and devoid of devotion service, which alone could save mankind from the threefold miseries of material existence, he, out of his causeless compassion for the age-worn human society, prayed fervently for the incarnation of the Lord and continually worshipped the Lord with water of the Ganges and leaves of the holy Tulsi tree. As far as preaching work in the Sankirtan movement was concerned, everyone was expected to do his daily share according to the order of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Okay, now, so this is also another important thing why everybody should know this name. So there were many great devotees in the party of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but another important name that everybody should know is this name. Sri Advait Prabhu also is famous as Advaita Acharya, and that is one of the Panchatattva. When we chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advait. So this is that Advait Prabhu. So this Advait Prabhu, Advait Acharya, is the cause behind Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's descent. That he was very concerned, very perturbed that what's going on here. People are becoming so sinful and all of that. And then he started praying to the Lord. So when he was very worried and concerned, he was thinking that what will happen to these people in this Kali Yuga? They're becoming so sinful and they don't even care about all the scriptural injunctions and all of that. So was the hope. So while he was just meditating out of concern and then compassion, so then he came across this verse from one of the scriptures. This is in the Gautami Tantra. So this verse, another very beautiful verse, which says, Tulasi dalamatrena jalasya chulukenava vikrenetana swatmanam bhaktebhyo bhaktavassala. So the meaning of this verse that Advaita Acharya read from the Gautami Tantra is Tulsi dal matrena jalasya chulukenava. Just little tulsi dal, like one leaf of tulsi, and jalasya chulukenava, just little chuluk means like hand, palm full of water. So just little one leaf of tulsi and just little water, Ganges water, Ganga Jal. So if somebody offers to the Lord, then Lord feels so indebted. Vikrenedana swatmanam. That Lord says, okay, now I cannot repay back. This devotee has offered me tulsi. This devotee has offered me Ganga Jal. So Lord feel indebted and I cannot repay back. So what should I do? Then Vikrinitana. So Lord sell himself to the devotees and now I am sold to you. Tell me what should I do? Bhaktebhyo Bhaktavassala. So Lord is that Bhaktavassal. He feels so indebted. So when this Advaita Acharya read this verse, he felt so indebted and sorry, he understood that verse and then immediately he goes on to the bank of the Ganges and with the Shaligram Sila started worshipping the Shaligram Sila with Tulsi Dal and then the Ganga Jal. So like that when he was worshipping and basically he's calling out the Lord because Lord feel indebted, then whatever you ask that has to happen. So it started that, Lord, I see there's no hope for these people in Kali Yuga. Unless you personally come down here in this world, there's no hope. So then Lord accepted the prayers, and then on the call of Advaita Acharya, Lord Krishna himself descended in this world in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so this beautiful pastime, again, all this is very elaborately explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So now, okay, somebody was raising hand. Somebody has any quick question or anything before I ask some quick questions? Okay, so I see there's no questions asked here. Then I'll ask the questions. Okay, so we read the pastime of Keshav Kashmiri. So he was a very learned scholar, and when there is an encounter happened with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he composed a poetry. So now my question is, the poetry was, what was that poetry which he spontaneously composed, and how many verses he composed? Okay, the rule is you have to raise your hand if you know the answer, and then I'll call out the name. Okay, the Keshav Kashmiri, on the request of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, composed a poetry. What was that poetry? And okay, Pranali.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. He composed it on Mother Ganges and 100 verses.
Yes, so it was in the glorification of Mother Ganga, and he composed 100 verses like the blow of the wind in just no time. He was such a great scholar. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out a little irregularities, little discrepancy in his composition. He specifically pointed out one verse. What was that verse number? Okay, a lot of people knows the answer. I'll ask Shloka Mataji. You have to unmute yourself and then say the answer.
Yes, and the 64th verse.
Sorry?
64th?
Okay, 64th verse. Yes, that's the right answer. Now question is, what was that discrepancy? What specific word he pointed out? What was wrong in that? Okay. Shamna Mataji, you can tell the answer.
Bhavani Bharta.
Okay, Bhavani Bhartu. So what is wrong in that Bhavani Bhartu? Like somebody can explain? Nidhi Mataji, you want to explain what is wrong in that Bhavani Bhartu, that word?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So
Yes.
Bhavani is already referred to wife of Shiva, and Bharta is the husband. So he thought that there is a redundancy there.
Yes. So I think hope everybody understood like what was that this thing. So Bhavani itself refers to that she is the wife of Shiva. She is saying Bhavani Bharatu, like who can be another maintainer. So that was wrong. Yes. So that's true. So this was the incident, and later uh, he was kind of defeated. He was defeated, this Keshav Kashmiri, and then he was perturbed because he was also famous as Digvijay Pandit. Digvijay Pandit means like he claimed his scholarship all around the world, like nobody could ever defeat him. And now here in Navadip, he got defeated by a young boy, Nimai Pandit. He was still a young boy. So he was very, very restless. Like he felt very embarrassed. And what is this? And then something happened. Somebody came and then pacified this Keshav Kashmiri. Somebody said something. Anybody knows what was that incident? Sachin. Yes.
Yeah, so Saraswati Mata, the goddess of learning, came to his dream and told him to surrender to Lord, and accept him as a Lord. Yeah.
Yes. So goddess of learning, Mother Saraswati, because he was a great scholar. So he used to worship Mother Saraswati. So when that goddess of learning came to the dream and said that whom you are defeating, whom you are like basically debating, not ordinary person, he is my Lord. Go and surrender. So then that is how this Keshav Kashmiri surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, became a great devotee of the Lord. So that was a beautiful pastime. And another pastime was with the Kaji, the famous as the civil disobediences. So, some people complained to the Kaji, and Kaji kind of disrupted their Kirtan parties. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that. That was first ever civil disobedience march that happened, and then there was a conversation and all of that. Okay, nice. I think we discussed enough. Any questions or any comment before we close?
Yeah, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have a question related with the Shaligram. Can you just explain, like, so how people know, like, this is also a god and they need to be worshipped and all? What is the story behind it?
Yeah, there is a story, long story, we'll discuss some other time, but Shaligram has been explained in the scriptures, the authorized way of worshipping the Lord. This is also like we worship the deity in the temple, like any form, Krishna, Rama, Narasimha. In the same way, the Shaligram Shilas also, they are actually the form of Lord Vishnu. But of course, and there's some specifications to all of that. And they're specifically found, all those Shaligrams, Shilas, they're found in a very specific area, which is like in Nepal, and that river is there, Gandaki River, and there they're found. And then those who understand, they know that, okay, this is the right Shila to be worshipped. But yeah, in short, this Shaligram Shila is an authorized way of worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu. It is another form of Lord Vishnu. That's the understanding.
Okay, so basically, like before the people start carving those deities, so before that they just used to worship.
Yeah, so there's no need to even carve them. Like they themselves, like in itself, they're like the form of the Lord, like that.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.